morning to you. Let's begin to imagine a landing place. And you wrote about this recently. We've heard from Brian Cashman saying, look, he's put himself in an amazing position. Every free agent deserves the chance to see what's out there. You're around the Yankees. What's their mindset? What are they thinking right now?
Well, they're thinking that they're going to have to wait because I don't think this is going to be a situation that's wrapped up in the next week or two. We don't have the same urgency in free agency this year that there was a year ago. And talking to people out here, it seems that Judge is the guy people believe is going to be that sort of that first domino that's going to start the chain reaction, because the teams that are interested in him will have plan Bs that could be Trey Turner, Carlos Correa, and the like. And so if the team is really interested in Judge, they're going to wait and see how that resolution plays out.
So when is that timing? Because the money has to be allocated somewhere, right? So at what point is it January? Is it December? Is it winter meetings? What is it?
Winter meetings feels right. I think, a couple years back, I think 3 years ago when we saw Garrett Cole and Steven Strasburg and Anthony Rendon on the market, they all signed at the winter meetings, and it just sort of, that was sort of the crescendo of their whole sweepstakes. It wouldn't surprise me if the timing was around the same, which means we have about another 3.5 or 4 weeks of talking about where Aaron Judge might land. And the consensus out here is that the Yankees and Giants are probably the favorites. The Dodgers are probably right behind them. And after that, there will be some other teams involved. But, the Yankees are in a tricky spot where they made this offer to him before the season. They let everybody know what that offer was. And now that offer is going to have to go up probably by close to $100 million if they want to keep him.
Oh, gosh, imagine you said out here talking about Vegas. West Coast is really interesting, Mark. Dodgers never afraid. I can't even begin to think of him in that lineup. Is that realistic? What are you hearing?
Well, they have Trey Turner leaving. They have some other big contracts coming off the books, Craig Kimbrell, David Price. So they have some holes to fill. There's some rotation issues they're going to have to worry about. So whether or not they go after Jacob deGrom, or obviously they try to bring Kershaw back. You look at that list right there, Tyler Anderson maybe gets a qualifying offer, we don't know. So there are pitching issues to address. But that said, if you don't try to re-sign Trey Turner, there's money right there that you can try to sign Aaron Judge with. And Mookie Betts has already said he is willing to move to second base if necessary. I don't think that would be necessary right off the bat, because you could put one in center and one in right. We don't know what's going to happen with Cody Bellinger in terms of being tendered this year. So I think it's realistic. I don't know that I'd put them as the favorites, but I certainly wouldn't count them out of the picture.
Yeah, maybe I'm out of order talking about the Dodgers first, because the Giants have always really been the next team in conversation after the Yankees. They've said, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but no player is outside our financial capabilities. What did you make of that yesterday, that statement?
Well, that was in response to a question about Aaron Judge, because all of the questions pretty much to Farhan yesterday were about Aaron Judge. He didn't reference Judge by name in that answer, but basically said there isn't a player we're not going to be able to be in on this year. And the Giants obviously have a little bit of a rebuilding project to do here. A lot of turnover. Buster Posey's gone. You're seeing, Belt's a free agent. Crawford's got a year left. So the core of those championship teams and the team that won over 100 games last year is moving on. Carlos Rodon is moving on, or at least is a free agent. So the Giants are gonna make their bid. Aaron Judge is from 100 miles south of San Francisco. There's probably a bit of a push of come on home. And so I think, the Giants are certainly going to be one of the teams that are going to be standing in the Yankees' way in terms of trying to re-sign Aaron Judge.
Well, we saw that same push for Garrett Cole come on home, and it didn't work, right? If Judge is an option in San Francisco, Mark, it's part of the draw. We're building more. Would there be more to come this offseason after Judge there?
I think so, and Farhan was asked that yesterday as well about, well, if you sign Judge, is there still money to do other things? And he said, well, look, we don't have a blank checkbook. We can't just write any checks we want and sign everybody we want. And that's part of the dance you dance, is figuring out if we spend X on this player, do we have Y left and Z left for these other players? He thinks they do. Obviously, a lot of that will depend on what that final number is to get Aaron Judge. You might have the financial flexibility to sign him to whatever you want to sign him to, but that will impact what else is there. So I think the pitch to Judge for San Francisco is, we want you to be the centerpiece of our team, and we're going to build around you. The question for Judge is, does he want to go somewhere where he's being built around and isn't necessarily joining a product that's ready to jump back into the postseason?
Is there a push out of Flushing, Queens? I spoke with Steve Phillips yesterday, and he said when he was in the front office, there was kind of a silent agreement, right, that they didn't go after each other's free agents. Is that still a thing, or is Steve going in play here?
Well, Steve Phillips didn't work for Steve Cohen, so I'm not sure that the same exact rules apply.
Yeah.
That said, I don't think the Mets are really going to be a serious player for Judge. They have too many holes of their own, mostly in the rotation, that they're going to have to deal with. They've already spent $100 million on Edwin Diaz, and when you look at the idea of losing DeGrom and Bassett and Taijuan Walker, there's a lot of work to be done in the rotation. So I expect that Billy Eppler will spend the majority of his time trying to figure out what he's going to do with the rotation, and then Brandon Nimmo's a free agent as well, so you've got to figure out that spot. I don't expect the Mets to be a serious player for Judge, but I think in this world, the new world of the new Mets, you just can't ever rule them out, I think, when it comes to any free agent, because the money's there.
Imagine the Post headline if that were to happen. Red Sox and Cubs. We'll end there. You had those two on your list. What's the basis? Any interest?
Well, the basis of the Cubs are going to be in on a lot of big free agents. There's a perception that they're going to be one of the teams that goes hard after one of the four-star shortstops on the free agent market. And sort of similar to San Francisco, they're kind of looking to, rebuild a little bit here, and not a 5-year rebuild plan like we've seen in Baltimore, but more of a reload. And I think the Cubs, will certainly look at Aaron Judge as one of those possibilities. I put them beneath the Yankees and the California teams in terms of where they're going to fall here. The Red Sox, that's just always fun to talk about because it's Yankees-Red Sox. Again, I don't expect them to be a player for Judge, but he was asked about it in September. Would you sign with the Red Sox if they came after you? And he said, well, we'll see. We'll talk about it in the offseason. So he didn't shut it down and just say, nope, there's no chance I would ever play there. What happens if Bogart signs somewhere else and they decide they're going to trade Devers and not re-sign him, and they're just going to go all in on Judge? It's not going to happen, but it's certainly fun to talk about.
It certainly is, and we will continue to do so. I like your timing. Winter meeting, so the whole industry is together. We could freak out together. Marc Feinsand.
Not sleeping on the sweater either,
with
man.
the
That's
very
nice.
latest. Harold likes your sweater.